that is at least one thing that you can take away from your anxiety. You know what your paper will look like. So section A, everybody. Question 1 is compulsory. It's for 30 marks. Remember, compulsory means you must answer all the questions. And I encourage you, grade 12s, to answer all the questions. Do not leave any blank spaces, especially in section A. For multiple choice, if you have no clue, take a guess. It could be correct. Do not leave any blank spaces on your paper. So section A, we have the multiple choice questions. There are 8 of them. We have match the columns. There are 8 of those. And we have 6 terminology questions where you are given the definition and you are then required to give the term or the concept. And we will be doing examples of all of these different questions, and I'll be giving you some ideas on how to tackle them. Right, grade 12. Section B of your paper, there are 3 questions, questions 2, 3, and 4, but you only have to answer 2. This is super, super important, guys. Don't take a chance and think, I'll answer all 3 questions, and I'm sure the marker will read all 3 and then mark them and choose the best 2. No, that is not going to happen. The way that it works when your papers are marked at the end of the year, the markers mark the first 2 questions because that's the instruction, and they will simply put a line through the 3rd one. Do not waste your time. Okay, follow the instructions. In these questions, there are 5 different parts. What we are going to focus on today, grade 12s, is the point 2s and the point 3, the 10-mark data response questions. These 2.1 questions, this first one, 2.1.1, that will be short answers. For example, list 2 characteristics of a business cycle, or list 2 participants in the circular flow. So those are really easy questions for you to do well in, and we're not going to go through them. It's straightforward learning. The point 1, point 2 questions, those require a little bit of interpretation, and it's very difficult to know what's going to come up there. So we're going to focus on the questions that are going to give us the best opportunity to revise content and develop your skills. And that is the point 2s and the point 3s over here. Oh, this is such a sticky little sun here. Okay. And then, guys, 2.4 and 2.5, those are your paragraph questions. Right. Section C, everybody, those are your essays. Again, can you see what it says here? It says answer 1 question, but 2 are given. So you only have to answer 1. Same piece of advice that I gave you for section B. Do not answer both essays and think the marker will mark both and then choose the one where you got the best marks. They will mark the first one, and that is it. In the essays, there is 1 essay from each of the main topics. So if you remember, for paper 1, the main topics are macroeconomics and economic pursuits. So there's 1 macroeconomics essay, which will be question 5, and 1 economics pursuits essay, which will be question 6. And then for paper 2, question 5 will be your microeconomics essay, and question 6 will be your contemporary issues essay. Please remember, grade 12s, that you have a list of model essays. Your teachers will have a list of model essays. Those are the only possible essay topics that can come up. So it's really important to learn your model essays. And a tip or a suggestion I would make, grade 12s, is that's not necessary, for example, for paper 1, to learn essays for macroeconomics and contemporary issues. Choose the essays that you enjoy the most and just learn those. You know one of them will come up. But we will talk a bit more about essays a little later, guys. So your essay has an introduction, and that is generally a definition. So if it's an essay on business cycles, you will give a definition of the business cycle. Then there's the main part of the essay. That is what the model essays that your teachers have are about. The additional part, grade 12, so we never know what's going to come up there. That is 10 marks, and that is what we call higher order questions. They are a little bit more difficult. So in order to get really good marks in your essay, what you need to focus on is this 26-mark part here, your introduction and your conclusion. And we will be looking at that towards the end of today. Right, everybody. Are there any questions before we continue? Anything about question paper that you're not sure of and that you'd like to ask me? Alright, so guys, let's carry on then. So, some keys for success. Guys, work every day. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or half an hour, but doing something every day adds up. Remember, your brain is like a muscle. You're not going to go to the gym today and be able to be like Wade Finney-Kirk and run the 100 meters at the Olympics tomorrow. It takes days and days and hours of work. So do something every day. And I don't know if you guys know the answer to this question, how to eat an elephant. It's coming up on the next slide. Grade 12, the best piece of advice I can give you is to learn your definitions and to learn your essays. If we go to the bottom of this slide, can you see I've said here that if you learn your definitions and your essays, you can easily get 40%. And I'm hoping that you guys are aiming for a lot more than 40%. But that is your first goal, is to get that pass for your economics paper. So if you do nothing else, you learn your definitions and concepts and you learn your essays. I've already spoken about answering all questions. I've already spoken about this first part of following instructions over here. So the second part of following instructions, grade 12, this is also very important. In a question where you are asked to list 4 items, for example, give 4 characteristics of a recessionary phase of the business cycle, or give 4 characteristics of a perfect competitor. If you are asked to give 4, only the first 4 will be marked. Even if you list 5 and the 5th one is correct, you will not get marks for that. So that's something else please to remember with regards to following instructions. So guys, how do we eat an elephant? We eat it 1 bite at a time. Just like we take life 1 day at a time. That is all we can do. And how do we eat this elephant 1 bite at a time? Well, we start by doing what's necessary. And grade 12s, what is that? That is doing your homework every day. It's showing up. It's being at school. It's being present. It's participating. Then you do what's possible. So in our context here for economics, that would be learning your definitions, learning your model essays until you can recite them in your sleep. And then suddenly you are doing the impossible. You are achieving your goal, your 50, your 60, your 70, your 80%, whatever your goal is. And how do we do it? We do it by doing things 1 step at a time and doing 1 thing at a time. Alrighty, guys, let's get on to some economics. So let's start with section A. So we're going to go on to the question paper that you hopefully will have in front of you now. That was drawn up by our subject advisor at Metro Central. And we're going to go through that together. So section A, grade 12s, short questions. Remember, as I've said already, you answer all the questions in this section. You may not leave anything out. So, multiple choice questions. Remember I said there are 8 multiple choice questions. Now, how do we do a multiple choice question? So, read the question and the options carefully. Start by analyzing the statement or question and highlight the key words or underline them. Then, and only after you've done that, you go and look at your A, B, C, and D, and the fancy word for those distractors. Let me distract you. And you cross out the one that is obviously wrong. So there will generally be one which kind of doesn't make sense. Usually the answer is in the question itself. And very important, I want to highlight this point here. Write down only one option. The answer will be marked as incorrect if 2 options are given, grade 12s. So in this question below here, this 1.1.1, the answer is C. But let's say you weren't sure and you wrote down B and C. Even though you wrote down the correct answer, it's going to be marked wrong. All right. So let's see how we can answer a multiple choice question, grade 12s. This question says, the circular flow model of an open economy. Right, there is my first key word, open economy. So I underline or highlight that. Shows the function of an economy that includes the what sector. So you're going to choose from these options. An open economy is one that includes the foreign sector. So there's the answer. So the answer, there was a clue to the answer in the statement itself. Right, now let's have a look at the second option. It's lovely if in a multiple choice question it says a diagram, because you quickly in your brain will think, okay, what are all the diagrams that I've done this year? Alright, let's have a look. I know it's got to be one of those. So it's a diagram that shows expansion and contraction periods of economic activities. And it's called a something cycle. So you are going to think of all the diagrams that show expansion and contraction of the economy, and it's a something cycle. And the answer is a business cycle. We have not done an economic cycle. Please remember, grade 12s, it's an economic circular flow. It's not an economic cycle. Then there's nothing called a productivity cycle that we've drawn or done in economics, and there's no diagram called the inflationary cycle that we've done. So you know your answer must be A, the business cycle. Grade 12s, are there any questions or anything you want me to repeat about how to answer a multiple choice question? Please remember you can type in the type box or you can pop a mic on and speak to me. Alright. Please, any of the other educators that are present, if anyone wants to contribute or wants to say something or add something, please feel free to do so. I'm really keen if that happens. That'll be awesome. Okay. Right, guys, let's carry on. So, in the document, the Winter School document that you guys got, here are the first 5 multiple choice questions. Let's do them together. Right, let's see who can give me the answer for question 1.1.1, everybody. Would someone like to type it in the type box for us, in the chat? The foreign sector is part of the what economy? Anyone like to tell me? Does anyone know? Alright, guys, the answer is D, the open economy. So what I've done with these answers is at the top I've put the topic, the main topic, so it's macroeconomics, and then I've put the section of work where you will find this, and then the answer. Okay, so I hope you guys all got that. I'd really love you guys to participate. So please, if you can, please do so. Right, guys, let's do the next one. Right, guys, you know that there are 4 different types of business cycles. There they are listed, A, B, C, and D. Each one has got 2 things which differentiate it from the others. The number of years it lasts, so this one is 7 to 11 years, and then the factors that cause the change in economic activity. So this says it's a cycle that lasts from 7 to 11 years, and changes are caused by changes in investments. Guys, let's have someone type in the type box. What do you think the answer is to this one? Let's see which school can give me the right answer, guys. I hope you guys have textbooks with you, or maybe you have a copy of Mind the Gap, or you can make it a group effort if your teachers are happy with that. Alright, guys, the answer is C, the juggler cycle. So just to remind you of the length of time and the causes of the other cycles. The kitchen cycle, That's 3 to 5 years, and it's caused by change in inventory levels. Remember, the word inventory means stock. So it's when businesses adjust their stock levels. The Kuznets cycle is 15 to 20 years, and that's caused by changes in building and construction. And the Kondratiev cycle lasts for more than 50 years, and it's caused by technological innovations. For example, the discovery of gold, or the invention of the locomotive, the train, the steam engine. And guys, the internet would have been one of the factors which would have led to what we call the Kondratiev cycle. All right, let's do the next one, everybody. So this is from the public sector, your section of work on the public sector and fiscal policy. Remember, fiscal policy is the government policy of income and expenditure and the financial year of the government. Guys, does anyone know which 12 months the financial year of the government covers? Anyone want to pop it in the type box for me? I'm still waiting for someone to be brave enough to do that. Okay, if you guys aren't sure, you can make a note. That is the answer. So the fiscal year of the state, which means grade 12, the 12 months over which government plans its budget, the national budget, which takes place in February each year, or which is announced in February each year. The state's year runs from the 1st of April to the 31st of March. Remember, the state actually presents us with two budgets. We have the main budget, which happens in February each year, and then in October each year, we have what's called the mini budget, and that is the medium-term expenditure framework, which is based on the medium-term budget policy statement, and that's government's 3-year plan for income and expenditure. And that's really important, grade 12, that medium-term budget policy statement, because it gives us as consumers and businesses, and it gives government departments an idea of the direction that the government is going in. And that means businesses and consumers can plan ahead, for example, for changes in taxation or government expenditure. Okie dokes, guys, let's do 114, the next one. It says a systematic record of transactions. And here are your key words for this question, grade 12s. Between one country and other countries. That's your clue. So it's a record of transactions between one country and other countries within a specific period of time. So guys, which one can we cross out immediately? We can cross out a foreign exchange market, because a market is not a systematic record of anything. So we can cross that out, which means we are left with 3 other options. Terms of trade is a calculation. There's a formula for that. So that's not a systematic record, so we can cross that out. So guys, you are left with 2 options, A, balance of payments, and C, current account. Would anyone like to type in the type box for me what they think the answer is? Is it A or C? Alright guys, the answer is, it's A, balance of payments. So this is also part of macroeconomics. And remember, the balance of payments records the transactions between one country and all other countries for a specific period of time. And I've got a slide just now where I'm just going to remind you about the format of the balance of payments. So grade 12s, those are the first 4 multiple choice questions, and they are all to do with macroeconomics. Are there any questions? Anything I can repeat or anything that you're not sure of? Alright, everybody. Let's go on to our microeconomics questions. So these would be from paper 2. So let's read the first question, grade 12s. A perfectly competitive business. So we know we are talking about a perfect competitor is making a loss. So that's my next keyword in the short term. If price is what than cost. So if you're making a loss, price is what than cost. Grade 12s, remember for a perfect competitor that price is equal to average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. And remember when we talk about loss and profit in our different types of markets, whether it's a perfect market, a monopoly, monopolistic competitor, or oligopoly, we can compare average revenue and average cost, or total revenue and total cost. And we know price is equal to average revenue. And here we can see in the answers that they're talking about average cost, because here we can see the word average. So think about it, grade 12. If you're making a loss, what is your average revenue or price going to be? Do you think it's going to be more than your cost or less than your cost? Right? It's going to be less than average cost. So the answer is B. Guys, just to go through this, if your price or your average revenue was equal to average cost, that would be a normal profit. If average revenue or price is less than average cost, then that is a loss. If your price or average revenue is more than average cost, so that would be C, that's an economic profit. And then this last one is the one that doesn't really relate to this question, because we only are really concerned with average variable cost when we're talking about the sum point, and that's not what this section is about. So you see in one of the slides coming up, I've got the diagram of what this looks like, okay, of what a loss or a perfect competitor looks like. Any questions about that, grade 12s? Right, let's go on to our next 3 microeconomics multiple choice questions. Right, the next one is about a monopolistic competitor. Remember, grade 12s, your monopolistic competitors are things like fast food stores, clothing retail stores, okay, where the products are very similar but not identical. So you could take a McDonald's and a Burger King burger or a Steers burger. The burgers themselves are similar, but there's just something about each of those burgers that makes it slightly unique and a little bit different to the others. So that's what we mean when we talk about the product of a monopolistic competitor. So we know that A is not correct because I can easily substitute a Burger King burger for a McDonald's burger. Remember, what does the word homogeneous mean? Does anyone know? Would anyone like to put it in the type box for us, in the chat box, guys? What does homogeneous mean? Can anyone give me another word for that? So guys, another word for homogeneous is identical. So we know these burgers are not identical. We know they have something that makes them unique, but there are substitutes. So that means the answer has to be D. So remember, when we talk about a differentiated product, what do we mean? We mean the products are similar, but there's something that separates a product or